Hey guys, so previously we pitted the Valve Steam Deck against the Asus ROG Ally to see which one would win. Now, even though the Valve Steam Deck comes up short in some respects, particularly its performance and display, we found that it's the winner due to its overall usability and cheaper price point. With that said, the Asus ROG Ally is one of the best Windows 11 handhelds out there, and I personally like it. However, this is not the only Windows 11 based handheld out there. Today, we're gonna compare the Asus ROG Ally against the new AyaNeo 2S. Design-wise, both handhelds are fairly similar. They have offset analog sticks similar to what you would find on the PS5. You also have D-pad, 4 face buttons, 4 shoulder buttons. The main difference between the two when it comes to buttons is that the Asus ROG Ally has 2 back buttons, whereas the AyaNeo does not. That could be a positive or a negative depending on what you're looking for. The other main difference is their port selection. The AyaNeo actually has more ports than the ROG Ally. Up top, you have 2 USB-C. You also have the volume rocker. You also have these 2 buttons up here that quickly bring up the in-screen keyboard. And on the bottom, you have another USB-C port along with the SD card slot. I should note that the hinge here is a little bit flimsy. As you can see, it's just very easy to move. Those are very thin, so just be careful with that. As for my personal preference, I'm gonna go with the AyaNeo because it is a little bit bigger, a little bit bulkier. Because of that, it makes it feel like a more premium product. So that's what I would pick. But with that said, if you want a lighter handheld, you want the Asus ROG Ally. It's a little bit lighter, but at the end of the day, they're both objectively very well-designed handhelds. When it comes to displays, they're not really much different, as you can see from our internal testing. They're both fairly the same when it comes to brightness, when it comes to color accuracy, reproduction, all that's the same. The main difference is that the Ally has a 1920 by 1080p screen, which is 16 by 9, whereas the AyaNeo 2S has a 16 by 10 screen. Also, in terms of refresh rate, Asus ROG Ally has 120 Hertz, whereas the AyaNeo is locked at 60 Hertz. So when it comes to how smoothly games run, to me, they're both very similar, even though the Asus ROG Ally has a higher refresh rate on paper. When it comes to performance, you're gonna get 2 of the most powerful gaming handhelds out there. When I was playing on the Asus ROG Ally, I found that I had to drop games to 720p in order for the performance to be better than the Steam Deck. If I raise it up to 1080p, it was the same as Steam Deck. The AyaNeo, same deal. It's as powerful as the ROG Ally. You can change the TDP on it, so if you need more power, you raise it up and it'll actually bring up the performance, but obviously that's going to impact the battery life, so keep that in mind. So as far as performance is concerned, based on our testing, both the AyaNeo 2S and the Asus ROG Ally are pretty even. When it comes to battery life, I have good news and bad news. The bad news is they last just shy of 2 hours. And the good news, if you could call it good news, is that's basically what you would get out of a gaming laptop. So no surprises there. It does stink though. If you're on a 6-hour flight from New York to LA, you're gonna have to keep these things plugged in. If you're doing regular productivity stuff, if you are browsing the web, the battery will last you a lot longer. With the AyaNeo, we almost got this at 6 hours while browsing the web, but you're not really buying this thing to browse the web. You're buying this to play some games. So just keep that in mind. You're gonna get just shy of 2 hours on the AyaNeo and the Asus ROG Ally. All right, when it comes to software, both systems run on Windows 11, which means you could run any Windows 11 compatible game, which is great. Each of them also has their own respective launchers. The Asus ROG Ally runs on Asus's own Armory Crate app, whereas the AyaNeo runs on the iSpace app. And as you can see, they're very similar with what you get. Like, you could just scroll through the menus, very easy to navigate. I like how the AyaNeo makes these little bubble sounds, which is pretty fun. So launchers are fine, but the main sticking point for me is that whenever you update the AyaNeo iSpace app, sometimes it reverts to its original Chinese language, as you can see right here. If you can read Chinese, that shouldn't be a problem, but if you're like me and you can't read Chinese, that is a problem. But in that respect, software-wise, they're both similar, although I will give the slight edge to the Asus ROG Ally just because Armory Crate works a little bit better, because no matter what, if you update it, it's not going to revert to some other language that you can't understand. So, but other than that, they're both the same. Okay, so which system should you get? Should you get the Asus ROG Ally or the AyaNeo 2S? There's a clear winner here, and it's actually the Asus ROG Ally. Don't get me wrong, I think the AyaNeo 2S is great, but the main sticking point is going to be price. This system starts at $1139 and it goes higher with different configurations as high as $1849, which is obviously going to hurt the bank, whereas the Asus ROG Ally tops out at $699. But with that said, I still recommend the Steam Deck. Not only is it cheaper, but the OS is just great. It's just so easy to navigate, full compatibility with all your Steam games. But I will say that I'm very happy with where handheld gaming is going. And I think Asus ROG Ally and the AyaNeo are very good competitors to Steam Deck. If you want more, make sure you check out our Steam Deck versus ROG Ally video. Really cool stuff. And for everything else, Tom's Guide, make sure you hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Once again, I was Tony Polanco, and I will see you around next time. Later.